Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. When it comes to the writing process, a lot of writers are stumped on where to begin. Sometimes it's as simple as putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard and seeing where it takes you. If that works for you, fantastic, you're a pantser. If it doesn't and you need some kind of idea of where you're going, you may just be a planner. Unsure of which you are? Check out my earlier video to find out. When it comes to planning, all you really need is an outline. I spent years believing that all I needed was pen and paper and the words would just flow. While it did work in some cases, it was a very long process and I got writer's block often. Then I gave outlining a shot and I finished my first novel within the year. Many authors swear by outlining, so even if it isn't for you, it's worth giving it a shot. Now here are 5 key things to remember when creating an outline. 1. Habit is important. Rhythm is highly necessary. Establish a routine and you'll be able to produce inspiration whether you're expecting it or not. 2. Change is inevitable. Just because you have an outline doesn't mean you have to stick to it like glue. The point of an outline is to guide you until the end. It's okay if your characters, scenes, or plot changes along the way. The creativity is yours to do as you please. 3. Every scene has to establish your setting, where the scene takes place, characters, who are the characters participating in the scene, plot, what is the scene about, and contribution. What does the scene have to do with the story and the overall theme? Number 4. For writing your novel, you will need a crisis or change in your character's life, tension, and a satisfying climax or ending. And number 5, give yourself permission to explore any idea that pops up during writing. As I already said, the creativity part in all this is yours. Don't be afraid to write a scene that's outside of your outline just because you may or may not use it. You never know what might spark another novel idea. Now, on to outlining. Our first method is a general outline. This is probably the simplest outline because it only requires the general idea for the timeline of your novel. It's usually my go-to. The general outline is great if you're open to discovering while writing your draft. All that's needed is the scene number with the title scene and any identifying action taking place. Define the setting, define who the characters are, and define the plot. And finally, share how this scene supports the rest of your novel. For this outline, there's no need to go into great detail because it's only laying down the bones. Don't worry about character description, what the dialogue is, or any minor detail. That'll come to you whilst writing. Up next is the old-fashioned outline. Remember back in school when we used to use Roman numerals or even bullet points to outline every paper or presentation? Well, it's back, and this time to help you write your novel. And look at that, we're using it before algebra. For the main numeral or bullet point, write out the title scene, the characters involved, and the setting. In the subletter or points, write out what your characters are doing. Use whatever explanation you need to help create the story. This is how and where you'll establish the plot. If you're writing this on paper, just jot it down underneath the main point. If you're doing this in a Word document, all you have to do is hit the Enter key and the Tab key. In the next point or numeral, add dialogue, thoughts, or actions for your characters. Again, once the breakdown of your scene is done, be sure to include a note below explaining how the scene contributes to the overall story. It has to bring you closer to the satisfying finale. Third on our list, which I've seen used quite often, is flashcards. This is another super easy method of outlining. What's great about it is you can take your cards with you just about anywhere and experiment with reorganizing the scenes at any time. In a few short words, describe the setting and the characters involved. Then, give it a title that covers what the plot is for the scene, and add bullet points to give more insight. And lastly, how it contributes to the overarching plot. You can use whatever flashcards you prefer, but the color ones may help with organization. Another great outlining method I've seen used a lot is the wall. Kind of like a vision board or Pinterest. You can start posting pictures, flashcards, post-its, and whatever else you want to help envision your story. They can be in chronological order or whatever order you prefer. And if it's not in the order you want, you can change it at any time. The idea is to include as many pictures or notes to visualize what the scene is about. All you have to do is dedicate a wall, whiteboard, or corkboard to inspirational clippings, images, and writings that express your overall story. Then dedicate one section for one scene and one scene only. Every scene gets its own space, adding some organization to the creative mess. For each scene, add note cards, post-its, or even taped pieces of scrap paper. There's no rule to what can and cannot be used, though toilet paper may not be wise. On the note cards or post-its or whatever you use, jot down setting, characters, some words or phrases about the plot, and what all of it has to do with the novel. There's a ton of detail that goes into this method, but there's also infinite freedom of what you include and how you include it. And last but not least, our final outlining method is a table. For this, you will need Excel or whatever spreadsheet program you prefer, or a ruler and paper. It's easy to add or delete rows and columns, and you can be as brief with description as flashcards or as detailed with it as the old-fashioned outline. In the first column and row, you're going to write the scene number, then write the scene title in the column next to it. Under the scene number, so column 1, row 2, write in setting, and then in the column next to it, explain the setting. Continue this pattern for your characters, plot, and, you guessed it, what it contributes to the story. So there you have it, 5 very different ways to outline your novel. For examples of the methods I shared with you, check out the link in the description below, and keep in mind you don't have to follow these to a T. Personally, I use a loosely based version of the general method, which is just bullet points with what's supposed to happen in every scene or chapter. Did any particular outline stand out to you? Have another phenomenal method I didn't cover? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Want to learn more tips and advice or writerly knowledge? Subscribe to my channel for future videos. And follow me on social media at NaleyGonzalez. Thanks for watching and have fun with your novel. Until next time.